What is up everyone? James Gunn has confirmed a huge cameo for Peacemaker, but who could it be? So today we're going to break down some of the contenders for this cameo, and we'll also look at some of the rumours that may be a little bit of wishful thinking. What's up everyone, DC Chronicle here. I know Creature Commandos did officially kick off the DCU late last year, but for me it feels like we're almost at the launch of the DCU proper with Superman, and then not long after Superman is Peacemaker. If you are new here, I'd appreciate it if you'd consider liking and subscribing. We do everything DC here, movies, TV, games, comic books, animation, we do it all. Now, James Gunn has confirmed a huge cameo, and there are a lot of rumours and a lot of scoops as to who that might be. I do have some names that I'm going to break down myself, some names that I've thought of. I've split them into not a chance, I've split them into an outside chance, and also very likely. So there's three different categories there. I'm also not including people that have already been confirmed. So I'm not including like Max Lord, Guy Gardner, Hawk Girl. They were in the trailer. We already know they're in there. They're not the huge cameo that James Gunn was talking about. I've also used three different sets of criteria to judge whether a cameo could be in it or not, or whether I've put it in highly likely or outside chance or no chance. And the criteria breaks down as follows. So the first criteria: does the character name and does the actor name justify the tag of being a huge cameo? You know, it has to be like an A-list character or an A-list actor for it to really justify that tag, so we've factored that into it. The second criteria is, does it make storyline sense? Does the character have a history with Peacemaker or the Suicide Squad or the 11th Street Kids? Or is there anything that we can potentially see them building up in the future? So it does have to make sense from a storyline purpose. And the third criteria is, does it practically make sense? Could the actor have actually filmed the cameo? I know technology these days, it's very easy to film something really quick. I know for the Justice League Peacemaker cameo in season 1, none of them were actually there in the room. They all filmed it separately and put it together. So it is a lot easier to film cameos when you're not there, but I do think you do have to make some consideration for filming schedules and personal lives as well, and just see if it's really something that is practically possible. So I have a few names here, so I'm going to run through them fairly quickly. If you've got any ideas of who you'd like to see cameo, who do you think it is, drop them in a comment down below. So the first one is Batman. I've seen Batman mentioned a few times. I think there is absolutely no chance that Batman is the cameo at the end of Peacemaker. I mean, he definitely fits the first criteria. He is an A-list character, and if it's Robert Pattinson, it's an A-list actor as well, or, you know, whoever comes in for the DCU. I think for now, I get the sense DC don't really know what they're going to do with Batman in the DCU, whether it is Robert Pattinson or somebody new. And I mean, this is a video topic all by itself, but they do need to get their act together a little bit on what they're doing. There's pros and cons for bringing in Robert Pattinson, bringing in somebody new. I think everything considered, I would like them to bring in Robert Pattinson. I think the pros do outweigh the cons. And I get the sense now, I think Batman is coming up a lot because we've seen enough of Superman now. I feel like most people are very happy with what they've seen from Superman, and we know we're getting that adaptation that we really want for Superman. So now some of the focus is on Batman and Wonder Woman and getting the Trinity together. This has never been a standalone Superman. We've always known it was the kickoff point for a brand new universe. So that universe has to have Batman and Superman in it. So I think more people are clamoring to see those characters, and that's why Batman is a name that does get mentioned. Storyline wise, it makes no sense at all, but it is a bit of a in-joke in like comics and animation that Batman just turns up all the time. So they could also do that in live action and have Batman turn up all the time. But yeah, I don't think there's any chance it's going to be Batman. I don't think they know what they're going to do with Batman. They need to figure it out. Batman should be a home run every single time. But yeah, no chance it's Batman. Next one is Harley Quinn. I also think there's no chance that it could be Harley Quinn. I do think Margot Robbie is going to stay on as Harley Quinn. She's definitely A-list, the character's definitely A-list, so it fits our first criteria. And I do think she's got previous working with James Gunn. He's clearly keeping the people that he's already worked with, which is fine, it's his choice. Margot Robbie is an easy one to bring back. And then our second criteria, it does fit in storyline-wise. Her and Peacemaker know each other. They went on a Suicide Squad mission together. So her showing up, getting into Peacemaker's business isn't really that out of the ordinary. However, where we run into trouble on this, and where I think it's definitely no chance, is with Margot Robbie and her schedule. Again, she could have filmed something, but she just had a baby. I know she's filming something else at the moment. She's filming, is it Pride and Prejudice? I think I might have got that wrong, but I think it's Pride and Prejudice. And I think just from a schedule wise and kind of what it takes to kind of all the Harley get up and stuff, I think it's unlikely that she would film a cameo with her current schedule. I also think like her being A-list is almost a negative, like as an actress and as a character. A small cameo wouldn't do it justice, and a cameo from Margot and Harley Quinn potentially could overshadow the whole main series. Potentially could be, you know, we could have used that character better somewhere else. It might have been a bit of a waste just having one small cameo. So next we've got the outside chances, and I'm going to start with Lobo. I do think Lobo has an outside chance of being the big cameo at the end of Peacemaker. Number one is a very highly anticipated character, and it's Jason Momoa. So I do think it fits that A-list criteria. People want, like, Jason Momoa is definitely A-list, and people have been wanting to see him as Lobo for a long time. So that definitely would be huge and blow people away. Storyline wise, it makes sense, but from like a different perspective, right? So we know that Peacemaker and Superman are going to talk about pocket dimensions, pocket universes. Jason Momoa has already been in Peacemaker as Aquaman. So potentially you could do something different there with the pocket universes and the same actor playing a different character. And it would be good to have Lobo in a HBO Max show where they can swear a bit more, they can be a little bit more kind of adult rated than they would be in the Supergirl movie. And then obviously from a practical point of view, they've been filming Supergirl. It would be very easy for Jason Momoa to have filmed something as Lobo to be included in Peacemaker. Where I only think he has an outside chance is a bit of a big giveaway to give away on TV. Part of me thinks, like, from a business point of view, you would want Lobo to make his first appearance in the Supergirl movie, and potentially it might detract from the Supergirl movie if you do debut Lobo here. So I can understand why, even though they could have filmed a Lobo cameo, they might want to hold off debuting the character until the Supergirl movie. Another character with an outside chance I do think is Mr. Terrific. Now we already know we're getting Guy Gardner and Hawkgirl and the Justice Gang auditions. In Peacemaker, we know James Gunn said that's going to be episode 1. He's going to meet those. So we know that's happening. I don't know if Mr. Terrific I'd consider an A-list character. So he doesn't really fit the first criteria, although I do think his popularity will have grown after the Superman movie. I think there'll be a lot of people who don't know who Mr. Terrific is, go and see the movie and end up really liking him because he is a great character, someone I've been a fan of for a long time. So not quite A-list, but in terms of other criteria, I think, this is speculating Superman now, but I think Mr. Terrific is going to leave the Justice Gang on not be associated with them anymore after Superman, and I do think he's going to go on to form the Terrifics. So where Mr. Terrific might come into Peacemaker is not to recruit him for the Terrifics, but just to give him like a bit of encouragement after he clearly gets embarrassed by the Justice Gang. You can kind of see where that's going, that he doesn't get recruited. So Mr. Terrific, you know, gives him a bit of words of encouragement, tells him to believe in himself, tells him, you know, he's on the right path, and it does fit storyline wise that way. And then practically, anyone who was in Superman is a good shout practically for being in Peacemaker. You know, it's James Gunn. He was filming both at the same time, I believe. It would have been so easy to film anyone from Superman and put them in Peacemaker. And so the last outside chance character that I think could make it in is Bloodsport. Now, Bloodsport is not an A-list character, but I think when Suicide Squad came out, he was quite popular. He was in Fortnite, he was in stuff like that, so I definitely think he's not A-list, but enough people know him. And then Idris Elba is definitely A-list. I think an Idris Elba cameo would be like an A-list type cameo for Peacemaker, so I do think that first criteria is like kinda the character, maybe not, the actor definitely yes. And then storyline wise makes perfect sense. I'd love to see Bloodsport back in the DCU. He has a lot of history based on the Suicide Squad movie, with Peacemaker, a rivalry there. And you know, maybe they have to team up with something. Maybe Bloodsport comes from at the end and says, oh, I've got a problem, I need your help, and that could set up something down the future. And that'd bring Idris Elba and Bloodsport into the DCU. Again, I think he's coming back just because he worked with James Gunn previously. I think he's bringing all those people back. So yeah, it does make sense from a storyline. Probably makes the most sense out of everyone from a storyline perspective. And then practically, kinda, Idris Elba, he does keep busy, so I can see him making the time for something like this. I know at the moment he is filming Masters of the Universe, I think, so He's filming at the moment, he's kind of busy, but I can see him making the time and being, you know, one of those people who would make themselves available and would take the time to film a little cameo or something like that. So I definitely think Bloodsport does have an outside chance of being the big cameo in Peacemaker. And so now moving on to the very likely, there's two people who I think are very likely to be the big cameo at the end of Peacemaker. First one, surprise to no one, it's Superman. Superman is very likely, he ticks all the boxes. A-list, he's Superman. You know, I don't need to elaborate further on that. Definitely A-list in terms of cameos. Storyline-wise, maybe less so, but it fits the same kind of story that Mr. Terrific did that I mentioned, where Peacemaker maybe gets rejected by some of the other heroes, by the Justice Gang. And then Superman comes along and gives him some encouragement and says, you're going down the right path, keep it up, maybe we can work together someday. I don't think Peacemaker's joining the Justice League or anything, but I definitely think Superman would want to extend an olive branch to someone like Peacemaker and get them working for good and giving them hope. And then practically, yeah, like I said before, anyone who was in Superman easily could be in Peacemaker, with James Gunn directing both. I know he's not directing every episode of Peacemaker, but he was there for the filming of both, so he could easily have filmed something on the set of Superman for Peacemaker, or even vice versa. And the last one, this is who I think it is. This is who I think the big cameo is. Lex Luthor. I think it's going to be Lex Luthor. Again, he ticks all the boxes. Lex Luthor, the main villain. Nicholas Hoult, an A-list actor, I would say. He's pretty much just doing movies now. Maybe not carrying his own movies, but I would consider Nicholas Hoult to be, an A-list kind of name. Storyline-wise, we have seen the political landscape in this DCU. We've seen Argus. We've seen some of the government with the Department of Defense, I think, was mentioned in the Superman trailer, who Rick Flag Sr. might be working for. And it was, I don't think Lex Luthor is the president, but the way they talked about the president and then showed Lex Luthor, I think they were kind of like teasing a little bit. I don't think Lex Luthor is the president, but it would make sense that Lex has his hand in different government agencies and that he is involved in government business, and then he's also using that for his own gain. And then I do think, assuming the DCU is successful and we get this story carried on in years to come, I do think Lex Luthor will end up being president in this universe if he isn't president right now, which I don't think he is. But it does make sense for Lex to have his hand in, especially kind of off the books government, where the money is not really followed so well, like Argus and like Task Force X and things like that. So storyline makes perfect sense. And again, he was filming Superman, easy peasy for him to just film something for Peacemaker as well. So he ticks all boxes. I definitely think it's going to be Lex Luthor. I think potentially we could get more than one, like Lex Luthor and Superman. Obviously not together, but like two different cameos. I think it's going to be exciting. I think, in just a couple of months' time, we're going to have seen these and we're going to know where we're at with the DCU. We're going to have a lot to look forward to, and there's going to be a lot of fun conversation coming about what is happening with this universe. So what do you guys think about that? Is there anyone you'd like to see as a cameo? Is there anyone you wouldn't like to see? Any kind of really out there ideas? Brand new characters, I know like Huntress has been mentioned and people like that, but if you do have any ideas, drop them down below, I'd love to hear them. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you all in the next one.